So now we will deal with perhaps the most complicated workshop of calculating if we can exit the vehicle or if we have to wait. So we'll make a trace to first the left side to see if we can exit on the left side, and if we can't, then we'll make a trace so that we can check if we can exit on the right side. We have already prepared some, but we're going into the not world, player, vehicle, blueprints, and then going into the base vehicle, the parent class for all the vehicles. So opening this one up, we do some stuff here. We can actually, it was disconnected for some reason, perhaps for me trying stuff out. So when we interact, when we're in the car and interact, we spawn a new character and possess it. So that already works, but now we need to verify that we actually can exit on this left-hand side of the car. So we need to set up a trace system, and by doing that we'll start by doing it on tick, just so to get things going, but eventually we will just do this event. But just to get it up and running, we'll use tick to calculate everything. So I'm just gonna push it out here and holding down E and pressing I thought I was about to get S, of course. S, holding down S and pressing, we get a sequence. So I'm just doing it like this so I can use the tick for other stuff. So what are we supposed to do here? Moving this one up a little bit so we can code things here. We're gonna make a trace, and we're gonna start by making some kind of line trace to check if we can exit on the left hand side. So we can actually take this one and copy, paste to use this as a preset. I'm right clicking and searching for some kind of convenient trace. Moving the chords here. I'm nestling myself in chords. Searching for line trace. We have multiple different traces, but we're going for the singular line trace, not the multi-line trace. We're going singular line trace by channel. So we're searching for the visibility channel. We will search for a floor where the player can spawn on. And this one, as I said, will be on tick to begin with. Can move it up here. It will be, this is alpha prototyping, so that will render a little bit of a spaghetti code, and then we'll clean it up. But I'm hooking this one in here. So I'm just gonna do on tick trace, and we can place a debug for 1 frame because it's ticking. So it's we will continuously see the trace even though it's only for 1 frame, because every frame we're drawing a new trace. So where to start? We can begin starting at the left hand side. We need the location of this node, so pushing it out and telling it to get world location. Get world location. Hooking that one into the start. And the end needs to be, we'll take the position of our node. We don't really see a car here, so it's easier to visualize on the child. So I'm going into the child. Where's the child? We're making the sports car here. So I'm going into the sports car, and going into viewport. So it's the left hand side, like this. We can move it up a little bit if we haven't done it before. So placing the spawn approximately at at the side, at the middle, at the center of the wannabe door. So maybe moving it up a little bit more. So each child car will have a different placement here. So it's offset minus 170 and up in Z70. We're doing the same on the other one, up 70. So this one would be the presumed exit point. So if something is blocking and is higher than this, some obstacle here being higher than this, then we will not be able to exit on the left hand side, and we will check on the right hand side instead. So that's why we're offsetting it to this position. So that's the base premise, our start position for the trace, and then we'll trace downwards, straight down, and try to hit the ground. And we're doing that. I'm compiling and saving here because I moved the points. We're doing that here. So the start position is our exit point. And then we just need to subtract, hitting the minus, doing a subtract, and where X, Y, or Z, Z is the upwards angle, so we're tracing down, let's say 4 meters, 400 centimeters, like this. And we're doing this on tick continuously, so we should be able to see this one right now. So if I'm starting, we can see the tick. So there it's tracing, and it's not tracing on the other side, so we'll just fix this one for now. So it's tracing there, trying to hit the location, and it does hit the location, and it turns, it's red when it's searching, and then it will be green when it's found something. And it did find something here, so if it would have be continued with the trace, it would have been a green line. I think we might be able to see the green line because it's tracing, yeah, it's tracing 4 meters, so this is a 4-meter line. So it hits the floor, finds the floor because it has the visibility channel, and continues the extra mileage. So this entire line is 4 meters long. So it works. I hit F8 to dismount from the camera. Okay, cool. So there we have found some kind of floor. Then we need to check if the player can actually spawn there. So we get some. I'm going back to the spawn. So here we're doing the trace. So on out hit, we can take and break the hit results. We have a lot of info here on the hit result. I need some more space, putting it up a little bit. So what do we need? We obviously need the location here. So this is what we're after. This is location on the ground that we have actually hit. So that one we can use to investigate if a player can actually live there. So we need to make another trace to see if the player capsule can fit there. So we can visualize that again, but we need to make another trace. So I'm right clicking and I'm writing capsule trace. No, I did not capsule trace. Trace only, trace. Let's see if we can get some trace. Did I misspell it? Trace, capsule. Capsule. Trace, not the multiple, the line trace. Capsule trace by channel, maybe? Capsule trace by channel. That's the one that we're after. So this is exactly the same as a line trace, but we're tracing with a capsule, and the player is also a capsule. So how big is the player? We have been dealing with that when we made the crouch. The radius, if we remember, is 45, and the half height of the capsule is 96. So those are the exact values on how big the player is. So we'll do that one. And the start position would be the location where we hit the initial trace. And the end position could be the same. And we do once again a debug for 1 frame and see what happens. Cool, we have a capsule there, but it's offset into the ground because it's spawning this capsule at the center point. So the capsule is actually growing out from the hit location. So we need to offset the capsule to see if it's a viable location. So once again, how to do that? We're venturing back into the code here, unhooking these because we need to alter it. We need to program it a little bit before adding a new start. So adding some kind, we need to add something in Z, the up arrow. So hitting plus, I'm adding something to Z. How much should I add? Well, we could argue that we should add 96 because the half of the capsule is 96 centimeters. So if we offset it 96 upwards, it will be sitting on the ground. But having that as a spawn point can be a little bit awkward because then we give no wiggle room whatsoever for the player to spawn there. So if it's just some kind of gravel or anything, it would be troublesome. So let's just give it some kind of wiggle room, and I'm doing 100 here. So it's just offset 4 centimeters above the ground. So that will be our start and end. And hitting. So now you can probably hopefully understand a little bit how it works. So we're tracing down and it's a red trace, and then we hit the ground and then we offset it upwards 100 units, and that would render it 4 units above the ground. So therefore this capsule is red because it's not hitting anything. So it's just hovering there in the air. So being red, it means that a player would actually be able to spawn here. It would fit there. So that's good. Red is good in this sense. So if it would have been green, that would mean that it would hit something and the player could not spawn there. So that is excellent actually. So if we go back here, now we are getting somewhere. So now we just need to check the other side as well. We can collapse this one so it becomes slightly more readable here. So now we need to investigate the other one. So if this capsule, this one, the capsule, if that one hits anything, it will return true here. So I'm holding down B and left clicking for a branch. So I will just investigate, did this trace actually hit anything? Well, if it was true, it hit something, then we can't really spawn here. But if it's false, then we would spawn. But if it's true, it did hit something, then we will check the other side, like the passenger side. So the presumed driver, the player, would crawl over and exit the car on the passenger side of the vehicle, depending on which country you live in. But I live in Sweden, so we sit on the left hand side. So we're actually gonna make exactly the same trace here. So I'm copying these nodes, but not the exit. Copying those and pasting them. This is alpha programming, so we will clean it up. So if it's true, then we're doing a secondary line trace and a secondary capsule trace with what? Well, the right hand side. And if it's false, then we will spawn the character, but more of that later, because we're spawning it here, so it's actually not a big deal to fix that, because we have already done the code. Now we will just see if it works. So moving back here, we need to have some kind of testing ground, because if I'm playing and looking at it, nothing is here on the right hand side, because this one does not fail. So we need to just test it to see if it fails. So I'm grabbing a box here and making some kind of obstacle, holding down Alt and dragging, and I'm just gonna make a quick obstacle here, a big obstacle. Hitting R to scale, just making a box. Doesn't matter, it's just supposed to be a box. And making it like so. Save. And play. So there's our box. We can dismount here. I can't dismount because we don't have the dismount code hooked in. But if I drive forward, that one turns green, meaning it collides something, and then it checks the other side, and the other side can be exited. That is great. But what if the car would be upside down? We have that option as well, because we're driving. So I'm just going to take a car and rotate it upside down. Place it like this, play the game. And we can see, since we're actually adding to the Z, plus in the Z, it just checks the upwards angle and places a correct spawn on the driver's seat. So it works. We have this issue that we again have this disappearing box here. So that's because we have streaming disabled. So I'm just quickly going into world settings, hitting streaming and enabling streaming. Yes, I'm enabling streaming. No, I do not want to read documentation about it. Everything disappears. I'm gonna go into the world partition. If we don't have world partition open, you can open it here, the world partition editor. And with it open, it's actually really big. So the level is tiny down here. But I'm drag selecting a box around it, boom, and right clicking and loading regions. So now we have loaded and prepared this map as well for streaming. Where was I supposed to go? Like this. Cool. So everything works. Now we're gonna hook up and make it work from hook up all the spawning capabilities in it. So moving back into the base vehicle. So this works now. We know that it works. So now we're just gonna make it clean it up and make it work for reals. So we want to exit on a button press. So this one, we can hook out these. We will use this code, but for now we're gonna take it one step at a time. So pressing the button, then we will check. So only on the event of pressing the button we will check it. So the event tick and the sequence is no longer needed, so we can move it back here and remove the sequence and hook that one in. So we're pressing the button, we're checking the line trace, and we're getting a capsule here. We should actually do some cleanup and right clicking and promote to variable. so we can actually use this later on in the code. So this one is saved, and we should name it to something proper, for example exit point. Like so. And this exit point could be used as a start and an end. We still need to check if we hit something. And we actually should check if we hit something is here, because we could be at a steep fall off. So the 4 meter trace isn't enough. So 4 meters is actually quite a lot, so we could change that to 3 meters so you don't exit and die. And we're gonna do a branch here to check. So if we hit something, then we should continue with the tracing. Let's make it so everything is straight. Like so, no errors so far. And then we do the trace there, and let's see now. So if we do not hit anything with this one, we need to continue with this, and we'll use the same exit point value here, and we're setting it to that one instead. So we're basically overriding the previous one. So that one will go there, and we're hooking in this one instead. So if the first one failed, then we're overriding with a new one. That seems okay. And if that one fails as well, so we're actually at the end of the line here. So if the right hand side fails as well, so it's no room for the player here either. So we hit something here with this one, with this trace, then there's no exit point. So for now, for this video, we're just gonna make a print string saying that we have no exit point. And you just have to drive somewhere else to be able to exit the car. That's obviously not optimal, because you might be stuck in a position where you can't drive anywhere else, and then you can't exit the car and you're just stuck there. So we, in a prolonged scalable product, we need to address this one as well. But for this particular video and this this workflow, this is so far so good. So we don't have anything to exit, we go in there. But if we do find something, then we should exit the car. And where do we exit the car? We have already made that code here. So we're just taking this code. I'm pressing Control X and pasting it down here, Control V. So if we do find, we're exiting and possessing that one. And obviously here, so if this one is free to be spawnable, we should, I'm doing a reroute node here, do the same. Like a nice little railroad of stuff. There we go. And basically, if this one fails, that it's a drop, we don't even hit the first trace, we can't find the location, then we shouldn't spawn the capsule. So this one fails, so we should immediately try to trace on the other side instead. So it should go there. This box here, we could delete that one. There's a cliff side. There's nothing on the left side, so therefore we try to trace on the right side. And you guessed it, we obviously need a branch here as well. If you're driving on a very tight bridge, for example, and you can't exit on either side, then so if you do hit a trace here, then we should continue. But if you do not hit a trace here, well, then you basically don't have a place to exit. Like this. So the entire structure looks like this. So tracing, tracing, and tracing, and spawning. So does this really work? And let's take a look. I'm entering. So now I'm standing in a position where the left-hand side is not a valid spawn position. And we ended up in the middle of nowhere. That's probably because we need to check out the spawn rules. These. The exit spawn position. Yeah. Obviously, this is the leftover stuff that we did to testing. We need a better position here. So let's delete this. So where should we spawn? We should make a new transform. So we can actually right click and write make transform. Make transform. So here we have the location and rotation and scale of a transform. So that one is hooked in. And then we just need to feed the values here. The scale is how big should the spawn be. It should be the natural spawn of 1. We shouldn't alter the size of the player. So this one will be 1. We won't change that one. But the location is interesting. The location is obviously the newly found exit point. So that is easy. We just hook in the exit point. And the rotation is also interesting. So if we are playing now, it should actually work. Famous last words. I'm going forward here. Up. It did work. So I ended up on the correct side. Can still enter the vehicle. I'm backing up. And now I should being on the left side. It works. It's brilliant. But if I'm turning a little bit and dismounting, I'm still looking straight ahead. So I want to look in the same direction as the car when I'm exiting. So we should fix that. So moving into the base vehicle, that's obviously the rotation. So what is the rotation? Well, it's the car. We have the car here. It's the mesh. So this is the parent, so the mesh is empty, but it will be populated by whatever card that we have. And then we can get the rotation. Get world location, how it's currently rotated in the game session. Like this. Now we have a nice little spawn system. So if I'm turning around like this and I'm spawning, I should be exiting on my left hand side, looking straight ahead. Beautiful. So a quick cleanup. We have successfully made a really nice and tidy script here, but we could tidy it up even more, because we have some duplicate things going on here, and that's not optimal. So what to do about that? I'm realizing I was actually thinking about collapsing it into a function, but we do need... That's not applicable either, because we're doing branches here, so we need multiple exits, and a function can only have one exit. So it might actually be best to do it like this. We will just leave it at, it's not, if you have duplicate code like this and you use it in multiple different locations, then collapsing it and making it into a function would optimize it, because then you could call the same function over and over again, and not having too many blueprinted versions of it. But considering that we have multiple exits with these execution pins, that would mean that we need to collapse it into a macro. And macros are only for user friendliness for us, the game developers. So, and this one is rather user friendly, so we're gonna keep it like this. We should comment it though. So let's make it like this. Marking this. Check left side for valid exit spot. And then we do the same here. Comment. Check right side for valid exit spot. And no side is valid. Cannot exit vehicle. And then this last one, exit spot found, exiting vehicle and possessing the FPS pawn. Pushing it down a little bit. Readability in code is super important. There we go. There we go. We could even do a comment box around this one and saying interact to exit vehicle, default key, what did we press? F. There. Okay, it's starting to grow, but we have a working, functional, really good, solid first pass of exiting the vehicle without being awkwardly spawned to some kind of origo point in the world. Brilliant. Over and out. Live long and prosper.